What are we doing here, hun?
Today we are making sourdough discard pancakes. So this is something else that I've used my sourdough discard for. It is super easy. The most fun part is actually cooking them. So putting it together takes no time at all. We have a bowl that has all-purpose flour, baking powder, baking soda, sugar, and salt. Now, this is a sourdough, so I imagine if you left out the sugar that you could put other things in here to make it more savory, like maybe a little green onion or maybe a little bit of garlic or even onion powder or garlic powder. But we're having we're having breakfast for dinner. So we're having eggs and bacon and pancakes. So I'm just making it kind of a straight pancake. So like I said, we've got the dry ingredients in here. We're gonna whisk that up. We've got the wet ingredients in here. That is 227 grams of sourdough starter, 360 grams of milk, an egg, and 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. I actually used canola oil. This is what I had. And the other thing is that I've converted this recipe into grams. Makes it easier to measure, particularly the flour, and then I have one less thing that's dirty because I don't mess up a measuring cup. So we're just going to mix this together. When you make pancakes, you don't want to beat the dough to death. So you want to just mix enough so that it's mostly wet and a few pieces of flour is no big deal. So anytime you're adding wet to dry, you make a well in the dry, pour in the wet. In this case, there's quite a bit of wet. Okay. So one thing you should do when you first get started measuring your ingredients is to turn your pan on. You want kind of a medium-ish heat, medium-low is usually what I put it on. So I'm using a non-stick pan. You could use a stick pan, and you'll see why in a second because we're going to use copious amounts of butter to cook these in. At this point, I've stirred it until it's appropriately lumpy. And now we're going to make some pancakes. How's the light?
Good.
So I was a little worried this pan was too hot, but the butter is not browning too quickly, so this will be good for our first batch. If you know anything about pancakes, you know that the first batch is always a little funky. The subsequent batches always look better. That's a big chunk. Turn it up a little bit, turned it down, but We're going to turn up a little bit. So just like a regular pancake, you're looking for two things. First of all, that you're getting little bubbles coming up through your pancake. And second, that the edge has kind of turned a little brown. Now, of course, we are using lots of butter, so it'll brown a little bit faster if you use less butter. But there you go.
Those actually look really good.
Yeah, for a first batch, these look great. I'm just going to continue to do this. I might wipe out the pan if the butter gets too brown on the bottom, but I will keep adding butter as they cook, and I will just continue on making these pancakes. Here's one more tip that I figured out while I was doing this. If you pick up the pancake and you think it's done, and it holds its shape, like the little ends don't flip over and hang off the side of the spatula, then you know that that side is done. So that's another little tip for you. So I've made the whole batch of pancakes. This is how much that recipe makes. Yeah, it's a lot of pancakes for just Jason and I. So he and I will have a couple of them, and the rest of them will either get wrapped up and go in the fridge to be eaten this week, maybe next, or they'll get wrapped up and put in the freezer. If you put them in the freezer, then you can take them out, defrost them, and to kind of crisp them up a little bit. I wouldn't put them in the toaster because they do have quite a bit of butter on them. I used almost this much butter to fry these up. This was a full stick. And so you probably want to put them in the oven to get them warm again. If I was making this for a bunch of people and I wanted to keep them warm, I would do that anyway. I'd put the oven at 200 Fahrenheit, get a little tray with a rack on the inside the tray, and then as I made a batch of pancakes, throw them on the rack, put them in the oven, and let them all stay warm so that they could be hot when we ate dinner. But since it's just Jason and I, and we're gonna eat pretty soon, then I just did this. So I hope you try this. They're really good. The sourdough is quite subtle. You are using discard, not fresh fed, so it's the older discard. So the sourdough is not quite as prominent, and they're really delicious. Do you want to try one?
Yes.
Come on.
Am I turning this off?
No, no, well,
My hair's messy.
it's okay. A little bit of sourdough taste. Thanks for watching. Thanks to all the new subscribers. Thank you very much. And I hope you enjoy making your own pancakes out of your sourdough discard.
Mm.
Okay.
Awesome. Those are delicious.